Welcome back to my shop again. What I'm going to be doing is making a multi-wood turning a box. It's actually going to be a beads of courage box. Because it's a beads of courage box, I'm going to use a solid bottom. I don't normally make a solid bottom on a turning this big, but for a beads of courage box I will, for a couple of good reasons. First one being, they don't want fragile boxes, and a floating bottom's a little more fragile than a solid bottom. Sooner or later one of them's going to get dropped on the floor and they want the least chance of breakage, And the other reason is, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, a whole lot of resources. So the best option is a solid bottom. Yeah, I'm going to make it look as good as I can, but I'm not making a showcase piece out of it. So what I've got, a couple of pieces of cherry for the bottom and the top, right here. They're about 5 3/4. Of course, when I get them rounded, it'll probably be 5 1/2. And then I picked out a bunch of woods to mix up for it. Now what I want is as much variety as I can get, but I don't want woods with similar looks. I want woods that are distinguishable when I'm finished. That's what I'm trying to do. Some light woods, some dark woods, and some medium, and of course the colored woods. And then there's a few that are very distinct, like zebra wood and bacote. And of course I got a piece of leopard wood here that I'll throw in somewhere. I've got 20 different kinds here. So I'm using 16 segments per ring. So obviously each ring won't get all the woods. Some rings will get different pieces. And that's really what I want. I want it all mixed up. And I want to be careful not to put two real light woods together, two real dark woods together, or a piece of paddock next to a piece of purple heart. So we'll get on to making it. Now I'm not going to show how to glue up a segmented ring. I've got a separate video on my channel showing how to make the basic segmented rings 3 different ways. So I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to show turning. Everybody's got their favorite turning tool and their own way of turning. But I will show how I construct it. So let's get started. I'm going to start with the bottom. I'm going to take a piece of this cherry. I'm going to make a bottom out of it. First thing I'm going to do is cut a mortise in it for the chuck. I use a mortise instead of a tenon. Of course, if you like a tenon, you can use a tenon. And I'm going to cut a groove right around the very edge to guide the bandsaw. So that's the first thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to hold it in the coal jaws to do that. I got it marked for turning. Mark here to cut the mortise, mark around the very edge, cut me a groove to guide the bandsaw. Now I use a mortise because I believe it's easier to finish the bottom later, but a tenon can be used also. So I'm ready to cut it now. I'm ready now to bandsaw and put it on the chuck. I got the mortise turned, I got a groove for the bandsaw. It's on the chuck now, and I'm ready to turn the edge round. Dish out the center some. It won't be dished all the way. I'll do that later, but get it started. And then flatten the edge enough to glue on the first ring. I got it turned around on the edge. I got it started dished out a little bit. I flattened about 1 inch here on the edge, turned it flat. I've chalked it so I can put the sanding stick on it and truly flatten it. So I'm just going to put the sanding stick on it now and turn it, sand it flat. I'm ready to make the first ring now. I'm going to use 16 segments per ring. Now I've got a real rough drawing, really rough, about what I want. And I've got of course, the solid bottom. I've got the segments drawn in. And the first ring I'm going to have to be 7.5 inch ring. So I'm going to pick out 16 woods to cut the segments from. Just 16 of any of the woods. I'm going to have to make a 7.5 inch ring, solid segments. 7.5 inch ring. 16 segments per ring are going to need to be cut to 1.4918 inches. So I'm going to set my table saw up, cut the segments, then I'm going to have to arrange them once I get them cut, and then glue them up. So I've already made a video on how to make the basic segment ring, showing how to cut them. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut 16 segments up for it. I got 16 of them cut and sanded. And I got them lined up now where there's no two that are similar in color next to each other. And I got them dry clamped and check the joints, make sure they're tight. And they seem to be tight. So I think I'm ready to glue up this ring. And you can see how I got them distributed, trying to get them, like I said, contrasting to each other all the way around. This one looks fairly good, so I'm going to go ahead and glue it up. I've got the first ring made now, and I'm going to put it in a cold jar, smooth it up. But I think right now what I'm going to do is just go ahead and make all the rest of the ring so I can turn them flat and smooth them all at the same time. And as you can see, each ring's a little bit larger than the ones before it until they start going back down again. I've got 20 woods selected. I might even find a couple more I might want to use. So each ring will have a couple of different woods in it. Of course, a lot of the woods will be repeated from one wing to another, but I'm not going to use more than one piece of each type of wood in each ring. And when I put them together, I'll mix them up different. So, in other words, I want each ring to be different from any other ring. So I'm going to go ahead and just make up some more rings right now. Make them the same way I did the first one. I've got all 7 rings built now, and I've got them all turned and sanded flat on one side only. That's all I need now. And this is the first ring to go on here. And I've got it mounted on a coal jar. And I'm going to put it on the tailstock, and I'm going to put the turning back on the headstock, and I'm going to start gluing rings on. So I'm ready to put the first one on. I'm going to go ahead and remount everything, put it on. Like I always do, I've got the ring in the coal jar. I've got the live center on it so I can put it in the tailstock. This is solid bottom. It's ready for the ring. So I'm just going to put a little glue on it. Put it in the tailstock, bring it up and glue it down. Don't take too much glue. spin it around a little bit, get the glue spread out evenly. Tighten it down a little bit and spin it some more. Ah, it should run the glue around nice. Drop it down a little bit. Let it set for about 15 minutes, and then I'm going to start turning the inside some. Flatten the outside of the ring. Get it ready to put the next ring on. It's been over 15 minutes now since I glued it on. I'm going to go ahead and start turning the inside a little bit. Not all the way, because I got to leave room for the second ring to turn into it. But I'm going to turn the bottom a little more and turn it into the first ring, and then I'm going to turn this flat and sand it flat. And even though the squeeze out is still wet, it will hold. The glue will hold on this joint. I've done this many a time. It's no problem. 15 minutes don't seem like long enough time for tight bound, but it holds. I started turning the inside of the first ring, leaving plenty of room to turn into the second ring. But I did sand the bottom after I turned it some more, so I don't have to go in and do so much work later. I flattened the top of it, sanded it, and the second ring is ready to go on. What I'm going to do is put the second ring into the cold jaws, and I'm going to bring it up dry, no glue, and then I'm going to rotate it till I find a spot where I think the woods look best together, where I don't have Purple Heart right over the top of Purple Heart, etc., or Padauk over the top of Padauk. So I'm just going to rotate it until I find what I think looks the best, and then I'm going to mark it at that spot, and I'm going to put glue on it and bring it up and glue it on just like I did before. Now, I've got a blue chalk mark on both rings where I want them to line up. So I'm just going to put some glue on this one, glue it up, turn the inside some more, and after I do that, after the glue sets, I'll turn the inside some more. Then I'll just go ahead and do the rest of the rings same way until I get them all on. So no need showing all of that. I'll just go ahead and glue this one on. I've got the last ring on. I've got the inside turned and sanded. When I add a ring, I turn a little bit, add another ring and turn some more, working my way out till finally I got the last ring on. Now you'll notice the last ring's been turned and sanded inside, and yet to squeeze out glue, you can see right here, they're still wet and runny. You see that? The glue hasn't dried there yet. I've got a groove cut in here where the top will sit, so I'm going to put finish on it in the inside. After I get finish on the inside, then I'm going to put the top piece in the cold jaws. This piece here, I'm going to put it in the cold jaws, and I'm going to fit it to the groove so it sits in there before I turn the outside. So first thing I'm going to do now is just put finish on the inside, and then I'm going to fit the top to it. I've got finish on the inside now, and I'm going to pull this off the lathe, and I'm going to put the top on and start turning it to fit this, and turn the inside of the top on the cold jaws. I've got the edge mark where I'm going to turn it, and this is just a little bit oversized I'm going to turn it and then sneak up on the sides a little bit at a time till I get a fit. I've got it started now, and of course it's a little bit big right now, so I'm going to take her down a little bit at a time, try the fit, take her down some more and try the fit till I get it just where I want it, a little bit at a time. Okay, I got it cut to fit. I'm going to shape the inside of it now. And I'm going to leave it a little bit thick right in the center because I use a dowel to put the knob on. But I'm going to dish it out other than that. I turned it and I went through all the grits of the sandpaper. I'm going to put finish on it now. Then I'm going to turn it over in a coal jaws and I'll drill it for the dowel that holds the knob. I'm not going to drill it all the way through. That's why I left it high here. So right now I'm just going to put finish on it and let it dry, and then I'm going to turn it over in the coal jaws. I'm going to be using a 3/8 dowel to hold the knob on. This is the dowel I'll be using. I'm sure I'm going to have to cut some off, it's too long, but that's what I'll be using. And I'm going to drill it for the dowel by holding it in the coal jaws here. And I got the drill. I'm going to put in the tailstock to drill it. I want to drill it as deep as I can, but I don't want to go through. So I've got the drill mark for depth. I'm going to put it in the tailstock and just go ahead and drill it out. I'll get that done. That's about as deep as I can go without going through. When I make a lid that fits in and blends in with the outside and actually matches the outside, I would mount the turning and then hold the lid on it with a live center and turn it all at once. But this lid, I'm going to make it so it just sets in. It's not going to really match the outside of the turning. So instead of doing that, I think what I'm going to do is just put it against a faceplate and use a live center to hold it and turn it that way. I got it taped to protect it, and I'm just going to bring up the live center here, the cone, and hold it that way. And now I'm going to go ahead and shape the outside of it. That should work, shouldn't be a problem at all. I've got it turned now, and I think I got it thin enough so it'll be light enough for a small child to lift it off with no problem, which is what you want really for beads of courage spots. You don't know if a really small child's going to get it or if an older child's going to get it. You have no way of knowing. So I'm going to sand it now and put finish on it. Then all I'll need to do is make a knob and put on it. I went through all the grits of the sandpaper and through all the Scotch-Brite pads. So it's just slick as glass now, and it's ready to put some finish on it. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of my favorite finish on it. Well, there it is with finish on it. All I have to do now is make a knob for it and the top will be done. So I'm going to set it aside, put the main turning back up, and do the outside of the main turning. Then I'll make a knob for it. The top fits on pretty good. So I'm just going to go ahead now and finish turning the outside. And this is a Beads of Courage box. And according to the instructions for them, they do not want them thin-walled. So I'll leave the walls pretty thick. The reason for that is sooner or later somebody's going to drop one on the floor, and there's less chance of it breaking that way. Again, that's why I got a solid bottom on it. So I got it turned, and it's not thin-walled, it's thick-walled. I'm going to take it and sand it through all the grits now, through every one of them, then through all the Scotch-Brite pads. Bring it up to a good smooth surface. I've sanded it through all the grits and all the Scotch-Brite pads. It's smooth as glass now. I'm going to put a finish on it. So I'm going to go ahead and put one of my favorite finishes on it. I got finish on this now. While it's dry, I'm going to go ahead and make a knob. I've got a block of two different woods, Yellow Heart and Macassar Ebony. I'm going to use that to make the knob. The first thing I'm going to do is mount it in the jaws and then drill it out for the dowel. I got it drilled, and I'm going to start turning this side of it now. After I get that drilled, I'll glue the dowel in and turn it around and do the other side. I've got the dowel glued in it now. I'm going to let the glue dry a little bit. Then I'm going to turn it around, put the dowel in the chucks and bring the live center up, and then finish turning the rest of it. I'm ready now to turn the rest of it. Turning knobs is really not my thing, but gotta have one, so I'm going to turn it. There's the lid with the knob. Not too much of a knob, but again, I'm not much of a knob maker, so that's it. Now all I've got to do is reverse the main turning and turn the bottom. I've got it mounted on the coal jaws now. I used the tapered pins to hold it from the inside. I brought the tailstock up with a live center to hold it. And the pins I'm using on the coal jaws, they're the tapered pins like this. So the taper tends to hold it on the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the bottom, dish it out a little bit, and then leave a rim for it to sit on the edge. I'm going to sand it, going to sign it, and I'm going to put... Alright, let's do a little recap on this. I started with a basic drawing, drew in the segments. I started with 20 different woods, and each ring has 16 segments. That way no two rings have exactly the same woods. Yes, all of them have maple in them and all of them have walnut, but the other woods are switched in and out, so there's no two rings with exactly the same woods. I tried to vary them in the rings so that no two similar woods were together, and stacked them the same way. Of course, it's impossible to, when you stack them, to get them all separate. Like right here, there's two woods that are similar, but that can't be helped. I didn't show how to make the basic rings. I did a separate video. It's on my channel. on how to make segmented rings. I made a solid base. I normally don't make solid bases this big, but because it's a Beads of Courage bowl and they want strength in it if you can get it, sooner or later one of them's going to be dropped, and they don't want it to break if at all possible. So I use a solid bottom on it. This one's got the drop-in top, different from the others I made, which is very easy to do. It's got a nice thin top. I made a knob, not too good, but it's a knob. I put the knob on with the dowel, so there's not too much chance of it getting knocked off. You can break it off, yes, but it's a little bit stronger that way. I changed the name of the channel, mainly to make it easier to find, give it a more realistic name. I did some research before I changed it and found out it was not supposed to affect anyone that had subscribed already. Well, one of my subscribers told me that his notifications had been turned off. Now, I don't know if that was because of the name change or because of something he done, but it might be worth checking. And so I hope you enjoyed the video. I appreciate everybody that subscribed to my channel. I appreciate everybody that's viewed it. And I'm going to leave my email address along the bottom here. So if you got any questions or anything, you can email me. Please do. And I want to thank you.